All right, let's talk about A Court of Thorns and Roses. It's a massive fantasy story, but what's so incredible is how the entire epic plot, every single twist and turn, is driven by one single incredibly complicated curse. Our goal today, we're going to unravel that curse piece by piece.
So let's dive right in and meet our hero, Feyre Archron. And when we first meet her, you've got to understand, she is not a chosen one. She's not a princess in disguise. She's a 19-year-old girl who is just worn down. Her only focus, day in and day out, is finding enough food to keep her pretty thankless family alive.
And it's that reality, right? That constant grinding pressure of survival that's going to push her to make a decision in the middle of a frozen forest that will completely upend her life and, believe it or not, decide the fate of two entire worlds. Okay, so picture this. Feyre lives right on the border. On her side, you've got the mortal lands. It's all cold, hunger, and just survival. But on the other side of this magical wall, there's the fairy realm of Prythian. It's a place of incredible magic and beauty, but it's also filled with powerful, tricky beings. And because of an old treaty, humans do not cross that wall. One day, that gnawing hunger pushes her too far. She's in the woods, she spots a doe, but there's this enormous wolf stalking it. Now, some part of her suspects this is no ordinary wolf. It could be a fae, but her family is starving. So she takes the shot with her one and only ashwood arrow. That single act of desperation is the trigger for everything that comes next.
And it doesn't take long for the consequences to show up. A massive, terrifying beast comes smashing into her family's cottage. He's not there to talk. He's there to enforce the oldest, most serious law of the treaty between mortals and fae, a life for a life.
So, the beast gives her a choice, a grim one. She can die right then and there, or she can come with him to Prythian and live out the rest of her mortal life. To protect her family, she agrees. As far as she's concerned, she's just trading one prison for another. She chooses life.
But this is where the story takes its first major turn, because when she crosses that wall, she's not taken to a dungeon or a cell. She's brought to a gilded prison, a place of unbelievable beauty where a much bigger mystery is waiting for her.
Turns out, this beast is Tamlin, a High Lord of Prythian. And his home, well, it's a spectacular estate called the Spring Court. It's a land of eternal spring, filled with flowers and art and more wealth than she could ever have imagined.
But something is very, very wrong here. Everyone in the Spring Court, and I mean everyone, from Tamlin himself down to the staff, is wearing an elaborate decorative mask. And they can't take them off. They are magically stuck to their faces.
So what's the deal with the masks? Well, Tamlin's explanation is the story's first big lie. He tells Feyre it's because of a magical blight, a sickness that's been sweeping through Prythian for almost 50 years, weakening their magic and draining their power.
And at first, she buys it. I mean, why wouldn't she? But as she spends more time there, she starts to see the cracks in the story. She realizes this so-called blight isn't a sickness at all. It's a cover for a much, much darker secret.
This becomes the absolute central mystery of the book. What is really going on? What is this blight that's powerful enough to trap an entire court of immortal fae behind masks? The answer is simple, and it's devastating. The blight isn't real. It never was. It's a complete fabrication, a lie, designed to hide the truth from the one person who could actually break the spell, Feyre.
The real problem is a curse. It was cast 49 years earlier by a viciously cruel fairy queen named Amarantha. Why? Because Tamlin, the High Lord of Spring, rejected her. And in her rage, she cursed him and every single soul in his court.
And this curse, wow. It was a masterpiece of cruelty, designed to be almost impossible to break. Just think about these conditions. First, Tamlin had to find a human girl who hated the Fae so much she'd actually killed one. Check. Then, he had to make that girl fall in love with him, even though he could never show her his face. And the final kicker? She had to declare that love, but he was magically forbidden from ever telling her about the curse she was supposed to break. It was a perfect trap. So the 49-year deadline runs out, and Feyre still doesn't know the truth. Amarantha shows up, and she drags Tamlin and his entire court to her own sadistic kingdom under the mountain. But Feyre, who is now completely in love, isn't having it. She follows them, ready to fight.
Feyre confronts Amarantha and strikes a new deal. She'll face 3 impossible tasks, one each month. If she survives, the Spring Court is free.
And these trials are absolutely brutal. First, she has to survive a labyrinth with a giant worm monster. Then, solve a deadly riddle while the ceiling tries to crush her. But the last task, that one was designed to break her soul.
Somehow, with some unexpected help, she makes it through the first 2 trials. But Amarantha, of course, saved the cruelest test for last. This wasn't about strength or cleverness. It was about forcing Feyre to destroy her own heart.
Amarantha's final task is just pure evil. She tells Feyre she has to kill 3 innocent Fae to free Tamlin. What Feyre doesn't know is that one of them is Tamlin himself, magically disguised. Believing it's the only way, she does it. She drives a dagger into 2 of them and then into Tamlin's heart.
Amarantha is furious that Feyre actually completed the task, so she just snaps Feyre's neck, killing her. But as Feyre is lying there dying, she finally figures out a riddle Amarantha had given her weeks before. And with her very last breath, she whispers the answer, love. And in that one moment, with that one word, the entire curse shatters.
In an instant, Tamlin's power floods back. As Amarantha is destroyed, he and the other High Lords, now free, gather around Feyre's body. And remember that rule from the very beginning? A life for a life? They pour their magic into her, bringing her back from the dead, fulfilling the treaty in a way nobody could have ever predicted.
But she doesn't come back as she was. The resurrection completely transforms her. She's reborn, infused with magic from all 7 High Lords. She is no longer human. She's one of them now, a High Fae.
And that's where the story leaves us, with this huge, lingering question. Fae won. She broke the curse, she saved everyone she loved. But in doing so, she was transformed into the very kind of creature she once despised. So you have to wonder, in becoming immortal, what part of her humanity was the final price? What did she really lose and what did she gain?